This is my short video of what I'm learning from this book, Getting Things Done, and how I'm trying to put it into practice. So there's this fabulous diagram that pulls it all together, and I just want to walk through what I'm doing. So he recommends in the book taking 2 days to really put all this into practice, and I think that's the absolute ideal, but I think you could crack it in half a day and then do 2 or 3 hours in filing. So the first thing that he asks you to do is to collect every single bit of action that you need to do. So I use the notes function in my iPhone for about a week, and everything that I needed to do I wrote down in that. So that's everything. So somebody that I've got to call to do with something with the girls, something that I've meaning to order off the internet, so personal stuff, as well as all my actions. I also created a file on my computer with all my actions as well. So you can do this with, in terms of all your emails, you do that separately on the computer, as well as having somewhere else that you're logging absolutely everything that you need to do. So the point of that is you get everything out of your head. He talks quite a lot in the book about how it's so hard for the mind to sort of keep things to mind, and how we worry and lose sleep over things that just feel out of grasp in terms of something we're supposed to be remembering. So if you just do that and nothing else, you should sleep better and have a clearer head, because you know every single action that you're supposed to be doing is in one place. And that also means you need to have the discipline of, whenever there are actions in meetings or you remember something, you go straight to, in my case, my iPhone, and make a record of that to come back to it later, so I'm not wondering what it is I should be doing. So the other key thing around doing this with emails is every morning I go through my email list, and what he says is don't scan them, because the danger of scanning them is it's so easy to believe you've dealt with it, and it just takes more time that you need to. So you start with the first one, you look in your email in basket or where the emails have come in, and ask what it is. So if it's actionable, I put it in 3 places. So to the side of my computer, I'm keeping a few files. One is next action, one is someday maybe, and some is one's called reference, and then the other one I'm just having a catch-all, which is I call 2016. So anything that I know I might want to come back to and I don't want to delete, I just shove in there. So if it's spam email, of course, I just trash it. If it's something that I can do in 2 minutes, I do it. And that's the critical thing with emails. If you can do it in 2 minutes, do it. If not, move it to your next actions. If it's something that you'd like to keep for the future, but you're not sure you'll need it now, move it to someday maybe. So it might be a course that you've got notification about that's not till September. If you put it in your next action file, it will just stay there for 4 or 5 months. But if you put it straight in your someday maybe file, you can check that once a week and see if there's anything you want to do about it. And if it's something that you want to keep, obviously just put it in reference. So go through your emails, go through every one, don't skip one, trash it. If you can do it in 2 minutes, do it. If it's something that's going to take longer than 2 minutes, put it into next action. If you need to save it for later, because you might want to do something with it, put it in someday maybe, or just put it in reference if you can't quite manage to delete it. And essentially, that's what you do with all your actions. So whenever an action comes in or comes to mind, not necessarily through email, if you can do it in 2 minutes, do it, or put it in your next action column, or file it. So a word on filing. So I'm just going to take you now to my filing cabinet here. Now you don't need to have this as a drawer. You can have it as a stand, and I think I sent you a picture of how Andy does this with a stand. So my filing system is through the alphabet, A to Z. Some letters I put together, you can see K and L together and Q and R are together if there isn't specific things for that. And then if I've got a project that comes under that heading, then I'll do a separate file for it. So here is my file on hospice and home care. So those are things that I want to keep to do with hospice and home care. They have their own file. They're not just shoved into H, otherwise I'd be having to go through all of H. Now the trick with your filing system is it's got to be fun. And being fun means you've got to have a fabulous labeler at hand. So there's my labeler on my desk, so I can use it at any time. And you've also got to be able to have your filing things at hand. So at the front of my system here, I've got all my spare files. So if something comes in the post or a paper that I've printed out that I want to keep, it's easy for me immediately to put it in a file and to label it. And labeling gives me such joy that it's brilliant to use. And then here in my desk, I have files with people's names on them. You can't quite see that, but those have got people's names on them. So if I've got stuff to give to team members, I have a file with your name on it, so the next time I see you at the team meeting, I've got that immediately. So having a great filing system that you're not worrying about is a critical part of this, either a pull-out drawer or something that sits on your desk. And then the other thing that I've been using, which makes a big difference to me, is a tickler. Now, we talked about this years ago, so this is simply another file. And again, it doesn't have to look like a filing system like this. You can get ones that are just a big envelope equivalent with dates in. And if I've got train tickets, I'm just putting it in the day that I'm going on the train, or if there's a piece of paper I need to take with me on the day. Each of them have got a separate one here. Here's the 10th, and I stick them in there and I just get that out the day that I need it and then put it back in again. So the tickler stuff means that I'm not worrying about where are my tickets for things. So back to this. So for next action, if you've got really big projects, so this might be your BHAG or bigger projects that have lots and lots of actions, the key thing you want to do is has a list of all the actions. Start with your BHAGs and just go through them step by step. The big difference, what he says that's different to other people, is don't set up a list of actions to achieve in each day. Do your next action, finish that, and then go to your next action, finish that, and then go to your next action. And this is one of the things that's made a really big difference for me, because one of the things that I used to get frustrated about is I'd set very ambitious plans for the day, then life would happen and people would need to talk to me, I wouldn't get through my actions, and I'd feel frustrated that I hadn't. But now, rather than having a set number of actions to get through, I've got my top action, and when I've got through that, I know the next one to do. But I'm not saying I've got to do 10 of these each day, because they each take a different amount of time. And the way that I keep track of this, now this is another app called Todoist, Todoist, and this is what the home page looks. So the inbox here is where I keep the complete list of all my actions. So I don't worry about things because all my actions will either be in an action list on my email or on my phone in this box here. The today ones are things that have a deadline for today. So not the things I'd like to do each day, which I've just described, but if I have to phone somebody on a particular day, it goes in that list there. And the next 7 days are, again, time-limited things that have to be achieved within 7 days because I'm working to somebody else's deadline. Then my focus goal is like my BHAG, the thing that I'm really focused on. The waiting for is things that I don't want to forget about, but I'm waiting for somebody else to get back to me, so I put those in there. Here's my full list of next actions. So every day I'm seeing, are the key things that I have to do today? What are my next actions from my projects? And I'll just do a quick scan of my inbox to see if there's anything else I want to do from that list as well. I usually have, so my projects are IPC and Interserve, so under those I have a whole list of actions, but I start the next action for each of these. I think the key thing to remember here, and I realise that sounds a bit complex, but I've developed that over several weeks, but the great thing here is having in one place, in this case an app, all my actions that I need to do, that's in my inbox. These are all the ones that take more than 2 minutes. And then I know where to go to find my next actions for things, and I know the things that have to happen on a specific date as well. So back to this. So that's how you manage the projects and the project plans. So if, yes, it's actionable, you need to decide what the next action is and either put it in your project or your project plan, so you then come to that. If it takes less than 2 minutes, just do it, or delegate it, or defer it. If you're deferring it, put it in next actions. If it has to be done at a specific time, put it on your calendar. And if you're going to delegate it, put it in the waiting for, so that you come back to it as well. Now, the key thing is you spend an hour each week reviewing how you're getting on, making sure that you've got all your next actions sorted out, making sure that you know what you're doing on Monday morning, and making sure that every single action is put somewhere so you're not worrying about it. There, our 10-minute get started guide to getting it done.